Okay, they're welcome to believe that. But similar structures in forelimbs might be evidence of a common designer. The Honda and the Toyota both have 4 wheels. That doesn't prove they came from a skateboard. It's a good design that works. So this is an example of propaganda, not science. This is right on topic here. If you're going to say majority opinion is how we're supposed to decide right from wrong.
No, I'm going to say that the opinion of the geneticists is how we should decide whether they come from different chromosomes or not.
Okay.
Now that
The opinion of which geneticists?
which I have read, written by geneticists, say Richard Dawkins.
Or Richard Dawkins, yeah, he wouldn't debate me either. If a geneticist is a creationist, if I can find a geneticist that has a PhD in genetics who doesn't believe in evolution, and they say, hey, Hovind's right, this is not evidence for evolution, it might be evidence for a designer, would a creationist's opinion matter? Even if he had 10 PhDs, or is he automatically disqualified just because he's a creationist? You tell me.
If he had 10 legitimate PhDs, his opinion would be valid. And it would be part of the question going intellectual debate, and if consensus opinion within the scientific community, i.e. the vast majority of the scientists.
I want to try to get you to see a bigger picture here. Okay. I want to try to get you to see a bigger picture. I have several people on my staff, I think 7, who are from the Soviet Union. Okay? Including my daughter-in-law. If a teacher stood up 10 years ago in the Soviet Union and said, kids, I don't think communism works. I think capitalism is a better system. Would you agree, 10 or 15 years ago, that teacher would certainly lose his job and possibly lose their life. They certainly would end up in Siberia if they're still alive. There would be a great pressure. The teachers could honestly stand up in the Soviet Union 15 years ago and say, all teachers believe in communism. Yeah, because what happens if you don't? Okay? We've got the same exact pressure here in America, and I can show you 50 examples if you'd like, including Professor Dean Kenyon over at San Francisco State, where I worked a couple hours ago, who nearly lost his job simply because he changed from being an evolutionist to being a creationist. They said, well, then you can't teach here. They took him from tenured professor to a lab assistant. I'll give you 50 examples in a minute if you'd like that. Now, I'm telling you, here at Berkeley University, the land of free speech, if a professor gets up and says, in a biology class, and says, kids, I have really doubts about this evolution theory. I think what we're teaching are lies. I don't think this stuff is true. They would lose their job. You don't have free speech here. You guys don't know the first thing about free speech at Berkeley University.
I would agree that most likely should a professor stand up and say, I do not any longer believe in evolution, he would be in extreme danger of his job. However, because
you have to believe in evolution to teach at Berkeley. And therefore, all teachers believe in evolution. This is what you're missing.
No, because more than 99% of the professors at all universities think that creationism has no basis in fact.
Okay, but I want to repeat this so they can hear this, okay? You're saying 99% of the professors believe that creationism has no basis in fact. I didn't talk about creationism tonight. I said there are lies in the textbooks, take them out.
Fine, 99% of professors in the relevant fields believe that evolution is true and that there are facts to support it.
Okay.
And they argue that those who attack that claim that they're not facts.
Well, let me take this one section at a time. Look, you can ask all you want, but let's just go one at a time so people can understand this, okay? I don't think you're correct that 99% of the professors believe in evolution. Washington Times did a survey, May 31st, it's in the Washington Times, 1998, the last one I'm aware of, 6 years ago, that said 55% of the natural scientists in the United States believe in Darwinian evolution. That's slightly more than half, 55%.
What that was referring to is essentially whether those evolutionists were atheists or theists.
No. The question was simply, do you believe in Darwinian evolution? 55% responded yes, 45% responded no. So, it's not correct to say that 90%.
What was the definition within the context of the question of Darwinian evolution?
My point is, it wouldn't matter if everybody believed in evolution. Again, it's a belief.
Does believe in evolution, not necessarily the specific limited definition.
What did you just say? Everyone does believe in evolution?
Practically all scientists do believe in the relevant field.
Let me ask you a question then. Is it possible for a scientist to not believe in evolution? Or by definition, are they automatically disqualified from being a scientist because they believe in creation? Would that the guy who invented the MRI, Would you consider him a scientist? He believes in creation.
Yes, he's not an irrelevant field.
Not an irrelevant field. Okay? What you're arguing here is an argument from majority opinion, and you better take a debate class, son. This won't hold up at all.
I'm not arguing from majority opinion.
Yes, you are.
I'm arguing from the universal opinion among the experts.
Okay.
Was
there a universal opinion among the experts in the Soviet Union that communism is good 15 years ago? Was that a universal opinion?
There probably wasn't from things that I've heard, and that is irrelevant to the question.
It's very relevant to the question. You have the same academic denial of freedom here at Berkeley University.
You are right that it is relevant to the question.
It's very relevant. Just because there's academic suppression of a particular view at a particular time in history has nothing to do with truth. The truth is, the evolution theory is only supported by these lies I shared. Now, take the lies out of the books and tell me what evidence do you have to support your theory. I want to see it.
Okay, well, let me try to do that. The essential basis, I believe, for much of what led toward evolutionary theory was the idea that species change over time. We find that because of the sequencing of the fossil record.
Wait. No, it's one topic at a time. You're saying the evidence for evolution comes from the sequence in the fossil record. Would you entertain the thought that there is no fossil record, there are simply a bunch of bones in the dirt, and we are putting our interpretation on them? And if you find an animal buried lower than another animal, it may be a result of hydrologic sorting, it may be pure coincidence, it is not proof. Wait. In a court of law,
hydrological sorting would not apply.
Your evidence would not fly as evidence. Correct. So,
now,
would it be possible?
Sorting as an explanation for the sequence of the fossil record would not apply.
I'm saying
because it does not fit with
it doesn't fit the evolutionary theory.
No, because it does not fit with water dynamics. Hydrological sorting does not explain the sequencing of the fossil record.
First place, there is not a good sequencing to the fossils. Begin number one. Secondly, fossils are interpreted.
You will never find a whale in the Cambrian layers. You will never find any mammal in the Cambrian layers. Okay. You will not find a bird in the Cambrian layers. You will not find anything but animals that existed within that period within the Cambrian layers.
Who is interpreting whether a layer is Cambrian or not? Would you agree?
Quite obviously, the Cambrian layers are that area. Between, say, several hundred feet a second. I do not know the exact area. They are an area which are beneath these other layers, in which you will only find these animals.
Let's let a few more people ask questions. There's a lot of people wanting to ask questions tonight. But you are a classic example of how your training is blinding you to the obvious, okay? You're saying there's limestone. Limestone is found in
Limestone is not what makes up the Cambrian layers. What makes up the Cambrian layers is the presence of those specific types of fossils within the layer, and different types of fossils that are always the same types of fossils above the layer and above it.
What you just said is precisely my point. The presence of Cambrian layers is determined by the types of fossils they find in them. Doesn't matter where you find it. The fact is, it has these trilobites or these animals, therefore it's Cambrian.
It is determined by its place in the sequence. You'll find these types of fossils in the Cambrian layer. You'll find these types of fossils.
You need to watch our video number 4 with an open mind. It'll get you converted over. If you really are, maybe your mind's already closed, I don't know. But if you're really open-minded, you need to look at this one more time, okay? The geologic column. I showed you petrified trees standing up connecting these layers. Are you still telling me those layers are different names?
I have not